Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of African History Month. I'm Sista Oloruntoyin, and here with me is Sister Esther Bikoba. I'm very happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here as well.
Yes, and the special topic this month is the African family. And of course, while we are celebrating African History Month, we know that our African families have gone through so much. They face so much in world history, and from slavery to today, the sanctioned discrimination that our people face. And despite all that, we still have so many stories of resilience, of strength, of power, determination, and triumph. And today, we want to highlight some of the peculiarities, the uniqueness of our families. We want to talk about the representation, identity, and diversity. And I'm so honored to have you here, Esther. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, hello. I'm Esther. I am a psychology student graduate. I graduated class of 2021. I also minored in sociology, and I'm just very passionate about mental health advocacy in the Black diaspora. And yeah, just very excited to be here today.
Thank you. So, maybe just to start off, what exactly does the African family um, represent to you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that the African family, it represents a lot of resilience. The African family has had to overcome a lot of hardships. No matter what part of diaspora you're from, you've either been impacted by slavery or colonialism, and there's been a lot of like different attempts to break up the African family. Even here in the U.S., we can talk about mass incarceration. So I think that the African family represents a lot of resilience and just, a lot of things that there's a lot of things that it's had to overcome and still, is in the process of overcoming as well.
Thank you. You were telling me while we were preparing, you did tell me a little bit of your own family. would you like to share how you were talking about the traditional context, how some of these values are still present today? Would you
Yeah.
like to share some of that?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Congolese. I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I immigrated to the U.S. when I was 3 years old, and I'm the youngest of five siblings. And I think that, especially like as an immigrant, sometimes it can be hard, especially because I was so young. A lot of my family like remembers a lot from back home, and they can share those stories, and they can share those values, and they have more of a bond over specific things, where I was just like, I was too young. I wasn't that conscious, so sometimes I have some difficulty relating to those experiences. But I think that it's amazing to still talk about those experiences and talk about those shared stories. And even though, our culture has been, in a sense, watered down, just to be able
Mhm.
to still have those conversations, I think is really important. And, spoken word, like, like they used to do, back in the old days and everything. I think that
Mhm.
that's a very important aspect of keeping like certain traditions, values, narratives alive, even though you're moving to a completely new country, that's like on the opposite side of the world.
Thank you. Thank you. So, like, I understand that the African family is actually quite diverse. So that means that what you're saying, the experience you have, would not be the same as your parents, for example.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. Yeah.
Because often when one thinks of the African family, most people think of the traditional African family,
Hmm.
um, which is of course a stable institution and but it has also undergone so many numerous influences over the past decades. Yeah, and as you were rightly saying, migration is also an influence on our families. So, what is the one aspect of the traditional family one thinks of the extended family? Um,
Traditions of the extended family.
yes.
Hmm. I think that one that always comes to mind is just like food. I feel like food, always brings us together. And I
Mhm.
think that growing up, I used to, especially, growing up, I'm an immigrant, my family's an immigrant. Um,
Mhm.
my mom used to like pack me like traditional like Congolese food in my lunch, and then like sometimes just being singled out by the other kids, like, what is that, what I mean?
Mhm.
So I went
Mhm.
through a period of my life where I didn't want to bring any Congolese food to school, because like when you're that young, you just want to grow up, like quote unquote normal, you don't want to be like singled out or anything. But
Yeah.
it took me some time to learn that that's food from my culture, and that food is it's delicious, it's tasty, and there that you shouldn't be ashamed of different aspects of your culture, whether that's the food, the music, the clothing. You should be able to express your culture and partake in your culture, without the fear of being judged, especially if you immigrate to a different country than your native country. So I think food is definitely one thing that brings my family together, and just like being able to help my mom and other members of my family, like if we're having like a get together, prepare like beignets, um, which are basically like, it's like a fried pastry. I don't
Mhm.
know if you guys know what beignets are. And yeah, different things like beignets and like fried plantains and things like that. So I think that it's food is definitely one way that we can just continue to pass on the traditions and pass on the values and an aspect of our culture.
Yes, exactly. And when I think when you mention food, and I start to think of this communal gathering, um, and how this shared belonging is so important in the family. And surprisingly, wherever you go, if I'm here in Germany or in the States, I have people saying to me, "Sister," and that is also something rather special.
Yeah.
That have the feeling that to belong to a global family.
Yeah.
Um, in the Yoruba context, for example, your mother's sister is also your mother.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
your father's brother is also your father.
Yeah.
And you were also talking about the values we have, and you were mentioning it takes a village
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to
it
raise a
definitely
child.
does. It definitely does takes a village. So I think, especially for my parents, it
Mm,
was a bit of a culture shock, for them to come here, and they just they didn't really understand like the American mindset that, like, you
mm,
turn 18 and you move out of your parents' house. They
yeah,
didn't really understand
yeah.
that mindset, because usually, like, the kids stay there like a little bit longer, whether it's like to help around with the house, take care of
Mhm,
the parents. But just, I think that America, and I don't know, how it is in Germany, but I think America and maybe some other parts of the West, they have sometimes like a individualistic mindset, where I think of, like, Africa as a continent. I feel like they're just much more like communal, and like you said, like, just like that shared like gathering, and just, yeah, like, it takes a village. So I feel like we are very, very close with, our extended family. I'm very
mm,
lucky to have a lot of family here in America, um, that I mean, that ranges from uncles, cousins, aunts, and everything like that. So not just like my nuclear family is pretty big, but also my extended family, and I'm so lucky to have a lot of my extended family here, in California, and then also like, in like Rhode Island and Virginia. But, yeah, just we are very, very close with our extended family, and yeah, I do see my cousins as like basically my siblings. I see like my aunts and uncles are as basically like, second parents, or sorry, third parents. So, yeah.
thank you so much for explaining that. That is so very true. And this I sometimes say here that the African is actually a social welfare institution for the family. So in Europe, you have the welfare system, you have retirement homes, for example, and these are things which are you will not find being used to that extent in West Africa, for example. We had, for example, 3 to 4 generations living together. And yeah, today things are a bit different in that even in Africa also has an urbanized setting now, which affects the family. So there is also the setup as a what the so-called nuclear family. How would you? What is your perspective on the nuclear family from a perspective of an African?
The nuclear family. I basically see, because I'm like the youngest, I basically see like, my siblings, I think, like, had a very, integral part in also raising me. So I feel like, yeah, I just think that like older siblings, they take on a lot of responsibilities, especially in the African family. If you're like the oldest daughter, like the eldest daughter,
Mhm.
you do take on, a lot of responsibilities. And I kind of, I see like the responsibilities that my sister has taken. It kind of is different from the responsibilities that my brothers have taken, because yeah, I have a sister and three brothers. And yeah, I think that I am very, very much so. influenced by them. I think more particularly my sister, because we're both women. But I think that if like the parents weren't around, and if they're working, then like my siblings are watching me. So I think that there is like a high level of responsibility from the oldest siblings to take care of the younger siblings in the African nuclear family.
Okay, yes, that's true. And that could be coming to some of the challenges that the younger generation, for example, some do tend to distance themselves because they do feel this overwhelm and
Hmm.
would rather look for networks and social support sometimes also outside of the family
Hmm.
um, nucleus. Is there with all these aspects that we're speaking about, um, what is an African identity? Is there an African identity?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to describe in one way. I think that is a really broad question, but I think that an African identity, because I like of black people, have African ancestry and everything like that. So I think that's what I love about our diaspora, is that we could be in the Caribbean, we could be here in California, or you're in Germany, could be in anywhere in Asia. But I think that we have that shared element of being black. And sometimes it's just like I'm just going about my day, like running errands, and I just see like another black person, and it's just like smiling at them, and they smile back, and just having like that mutual understanding that like we see each other. And I feel like I've heard other people do this. And then people of other backgrounds, like non-African backgrounds, they're like, oh, do you know that person? And then the person with the African background's like, no, I don't know them. It was just like saying hi, and having that mutual understanding. And I think that's what I find so beautiful about the diaspora, is that
Mhm.
we are in so many different parts of the world, and we've really been so spread out. But there's certain things that really bring us together. And I think that that's like, food can be one of them, like dancing, the fashion. So I think that that's like a really, really beautiful aspect of having an African background.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I can totally agree with that. The African family cannot function without this solidarity and togetherness. It's just a part of it.
Yeah,
The,
solidarity. That's a good, yeah.
yes, yeah, the humanity,
Hmm.
the shared belongings. This is really some of the important values that we have.
Hmm.
Um, what African values um, do you think are important to pass on to the next generation? What are the values you think we need to continue to nurture, which might be in danger now in society?
What African values should we pass on to the next generation that could be endangered now in society? Hmm, that's a really good question. I think just I think this kind of ties into uh the like communal aspect. I think that if you become successful and that sort of thing, just try to like pass on that success, and try to like invest like your success into other African communities, or just like in other people with African backgrounds. I think that that's really important. I think that
Mhm, mhm,
sometimes when people find success, they forget their
Ah,
communities. And I think that it's so important to just, stay connected and just try to pass on that
mhm,
success, and try not to be so like as I guess, yeah, as individualistic, I'd say.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This feeling of responsibility, you know, is really still anchored in generation. What of that, that we need to help one another. Yeah, this is a general for life, which I so cherish, knowing that everyone is welcome. We've had students from Germany go to Africa on an exchange trip, and that is one thing they all come back and talk about. That they feel so touched that it didn't matter what status the family that hosted them had. It could have been a family in a village or a city. They all talk of how welcome they felt. Um, they describe that sometimes give best bed to the guests
Mm.
and such very important hospitality.
Yeah,
Mhm.
hospitality is, yeah, I think that's
Hospitality.
great. I just think of like even just going to my, like if I'm like at my aunt's house or like my uncle's house,
Mhm.
they just start preparing food, and then they're like, come eat. And even if you're not hungry, just like out of respect, you always just take a little something.
Yes, yes, yes.
You always eat a little bit of the food, even if you're not hungry. It's just out of respect. So I think that African people are definitely very, very generous, and they want to keep you well fed for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned already that the African family has faced a lot coming through pre-slavery times, through the years, today, to the imperial capitalist society we
Yeah.
face today. What can you highlight some of these changes that have occurred and impacted the African family?
Yeah, I mean, looking at like me specifically, being Congo was imperialized by Belgium,
Mhm.
and we didn't gain independence until 1960. And my dad was born in 1957, so when he was born, Congo was still under Belgian rule. And fast forwarding to the Rwandan genocide, it
Mhm.
really impacted my family in a very large way. So I'm Congolese, and then I have sets of cousins who are Congolese on one side and then Rwandan on the other side. And so there was just like this place in time when we were just like, well, we don't know where to go. And the fact that we were even able to escape, that's one of the main reasons why we came to America, is that we just there was too much conflict going on, and we just didn't feel safe. And things like that they happen. And a lot of Africans come to the US, or come to different parts of the world, Canada, the UK, other parts in Europe. They come to escape that conflict. And I think that kind of like I was saying, colonialism, slavery, those are things that we all have in common, like in one way or another. If you have any African ancestry, like your family have been impacted by colonialism or slavery, and maybe you don't see it in a direct type of way, but
Mhm.
it's definitely there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Which brings us to the next topic, I would say, of the resilience, and that is what how do the families cope through such hardship? Do you have any family narratives or strategies that you have experienced that keep the family together despite?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is just being vulnerable. And I know that a lot of us, a lot of us in the diaspora, we sometimes have troubles like relaying our feelings. And I think it's a conditioned thing. We're told that we're strong, but like, are we really strong, or have we been conditioned, to hear that, or like, are we just told that and we're not really strong? So like, when I hear that, oh, like, black people are so strong, and they've gone through so much, and it's like, well, it kind of like, it makes me think of like ways that they use to like essentially like justify like slavery and other types of things, is that they had to see us as strong, or you know or I think that we can handle these types of atrocities. So I think that just being vulnerable, and just having those open conversations is really important. And it can be very just like, I guess, like de-stressing. Like, you can feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders for sure. Just coming together and crying together, and just grieving whatever it is that you're grieving together. And yeah, that's why I'm just like really passionate about talking about struggles in our communities. Um, and just seeing ways that we can better deal with them, and ways that we can overcome with them. But yeah, I think that it is really important to be vulnerable.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And you just reminded me of rituals, the way we mourn, the way the families are able to grieve together,
Yeah.
this shared experience and how important that is.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, and it's through so many different forms, could be through food, sharing of food.
Hmm.
Um, like you said previously, how important that was for you, the food as a form of togetherness.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Definitely. And like, I don't know about any of our viewers, but I was just like thinking of Wakanda Forever. I'm not sure if you watched it, but just like the way that they handled grief and loss in that movie, I think was really special. It's just like the way that
Mhm.
everyone just comes together, and they're vulnerable with each other, and crying
Mm.
together, and just letting all your emotions like lie on the table,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah. So we have here Evaristo Favor Kasheke. He says, watching you from Zambia. Keep
Hmm.
this program up. It's the only hope for better Africa.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, hello. Wow, all the way from
And
Zambia. That's
thank you,
beautiful.
Evaristo.
Yeah.
Yes, please, viewers, let us know what you think. We're talking about the African family. So please share with us. We're talking about representation, identity, the diversity. So please go ahead and leave your comments and let us know what you think. Kwazo Fiagbe very proudly says, my continent.
Hi, Quadzo. Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Talking about diversity, there is not one type of the African family is so diverse. Even even in the same family, there is a whole lot of diversity. Golden Bar, greetings. Hello from Sierra Leone, West Africa. How you do?
Hello, Golden Ba.
Famble talk, Daddy. So yeah, we have what we call, for example, Famble talk.
Mm.
which is also like a coming together of family members to discuss on a particular issue, and
Oh, okay.
everybody is able to contribute their own perspective.
Yeah.
It's also used as a conflict resolution tool.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
How do you pronounce it again?
fambul talk.
Fanbul talk?
Yes,
Okay.
I can FAMBULTOK.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
I'm seeing you can keep on sharing. I'm going to get Delphi on. She's here. See if she's trying to come. I try to add her. Hello, Delphine. Can you hear us?
Hi, Delphine.
How are you?
Hello,
Hello, welcome.
I'm good. Thank you. I've
Welcome.
been listening to you people. I was
Oh,
at the background.
okay. Is your
Yeah.
video on or
I am in the train. Yeah.
okay?
So
No
I'm still on
problem.
my way home,
Okay. Did
but
you
I will
want to
soon come
contribute?
out in the next. Pardon?
Did you? Okay. Then I wait for you, and then you can contribute.
Yeah, but I can hear you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Very good. Okay.
Very, very interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me put my camera on.
Yeah.
Hello.
One
Hi.
minute.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you? Okay, so she
Yeah.
has some
I'm.
contributions to make later. She's still on
Pardon?
the road. I said you still have some contributions to make later. You're still on the road. Okay, so we go on. How exactly is the African family represented in the
Oh, how's the African family represented? Yeah, I think that when I see representations of the African family in the media, I think that it's often portrayed like as a broken family. Like it's never like a two-parent household. Um, Sometimes even it's like a lot of, or not sometimes, but a lot of the times the father is missing. It seems like the mother is very stressed and overworked and just
Mhm.
very overwhelmed. The father could even like he's even portrayed like he's in jail or he's a
The
criminal, or
absent father
yeah, absent father.
stereotype,
Yeah, so I think,
violent father stereotype.
yeah, definitely. So
Mm.
and it's just I mean, those families do exist, there's no denying that, but there are other types of families that exist, and we don't really see them portrayed in the media and like the movies and the TV shows that even the books that we read, that we watch. So sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating to just see us portrayed in such a one-dimensional way, when I think being a part of the diaspora, like it's not a monolith. It doesn't look like one way for every single person, and everyone, like we talked about, like everyone has such varied experiences.
Yes.
um and like we do come together in solidarity on the basis that we are a part of the diaspora, but we experience the diaspora in different ways. So yeah, I think that the family portrayal of the African family is just very, it's, I think it's small minded, and it's not looking at like the bigger picture essentially.
Yes, yes, that is so very true. Um, there have been statistics actually here, for example, that showed they were overrepresented negatively. So if you take it, for example, the poverty, although the statistics for poverty of the black family might be 24% of the affect of the black families are affected by poverty. But the portrayal in the media was 60%. Yeah. And in other aspects too, other things like you said, like the element of violence in the family, also over portrayed. education is underportrayed,
Yeah.
and things like that. And this has an effect or an impact on our identity sometimes.
Hmm. Definitely. And I love that you bring up those statistics, and so it just shows like the overrepresentation of, being in poverty and, that sort of thing. Um,
Mm,
and I think, like, people, Black people are some of the most educated people I know. They hold a lot of degrees, and, continue on to higher education and everything like that. So some, like, seeing that is just kind of like what's going on there. And I think that it does influence the way that people view us, the way that people stereotype us, and, they go in and they think that we're one way, and then they're like, oh,
mhm.
actually you're not like that. Like, you don't fit the narrative that I had in my mind about you. And it's like, well, because we're not a monolith,
No,
we're so different, and we come from different experiences and walks of life. So yeah, I think that's really important that you brought that up.
yeah, and it is. I think it's something that to also raise awareness on how white mainstream media has destroyed, is kind of attacking the black family, which is the most basic unit, and it is dangerous. These forms of distortion is dangerous, and also systemic, you know. So we had, for example, a raise in racism, and people feeling black families rely on social welfare, or associated with criminal, things like that. So it is important that we tell our own and also share in the family who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the identity, so that we know who we really are, and
Yeah.
pass this on to our children. You know? Who
Yeah.
am I? What is my ancestry? Who was my grandfather? What did he do? What did he like? So, especially even in the diaspora, if the extended family is not present, but still um, they can be made familiar
Mm-hmm.
through our oral tradition of
Mm-hmm.
sharing our stories.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think that we just need more people from the diaspora who are writers, like,
Mhm,
for the movies, for the TV shows and everything. Because I
mhm,
feel like a lot of the times, if you look at the writers for these shows that are painting this like monolithic view or portrayal of the Black family, they're not from, people that look like us. So I think that, yeah, it's just another way that, like, we need more representation, more positive representation.
mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with the diversity, it starts from names, languages, culture, customs, all these
Hmm.
things that were stripped away by the criminal enslavers and colonial colonizers.
Yeah.
These things which need to be um, brought out, you know, and it's unfortunate. We shouldn't allow Africa to be depicted as a negative place.
Mm.
And for one thing, the histories of our families before slavery is even important to share.
Oh, pardon, what was your question?
No, I said I was agreeing totally with you that we have to tell our own story. And
Yeah.
I was saying, even before slavery,
Yeah.
of the
uh,
advancement we had made before slavery, great contributions have been made to the world.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, because I feel like a lot of people believe that, African history, Black history, it starts with slavery, it starts with colonialism, but there's so much to learn, way, like, even hundreds of years before that. So I'm glad that you pointed that out for sure.
Yeah. In your work, what cultural differences are there to respect when working with people of African heritage, African family?
People, okay. Respect for working people. I can. Wait, sorry. Can you repeat your question?
I said, in your work, when working with African family,
Mhm.
what cultural differences are there which one has to take into consideration?
Okay, I see. Yeah. I think that with Africans, sometimes like when you're talking about mental health, I think that sometimes it's almost like they don't want to like overstep, or they
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're being like an inconvenience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like it kind of ties in with bottling in your struggles and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and not expressing it to others, um, especially like others that don't look like you. But yeah, I feel like there is like this tendency that we have, that to just bottle it in, sharing too much, about what we're going
Mm-hmm.
through mentally could be just like imposing on other people. And I think that we just have
Mm-hmm.
to reframe that mindset, and just like I talked about, be
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable, and have those conversations, because they can be really productive. And
Mm-hmm.
just that that shared aspect of coming together, and whatever it is, being vulnerable. So I think that that's really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there specific barriers to mental health care for the African family?
Yeah, I think that there definitely are. I think it just, I think first and foremost is the stigma around it, Um, a lot of times, like, they're like, oh, those are, white people problems, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like stops them from going to, or partaking in resources like therapy, even if they have the means and the access to it. I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of people who are able to access therapy through their health insurance, and like they don't have to pay like out of pocket, and it's just like covered through their insurance. So I think just like the stigma is really there. And I think that that's why it's important to have these conversations, even like you and me are having right now, because this is helping break down the stigma. And I think that there has just been such an advancement in open conversations about mental health, I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
especially in like the past, like even like 10, like 5-10 years. Like, I'm very, very impressed at how open people have been, just to like talk about it. But I think it is important also, like, for therapists to just have cultural understanding, and like understand just like different cultural backgrounds and that sort of thing. So some people, like, they might be like, oh, like, I want an African therapist, or like I want a therapist who understands my cultural background. But sometimes, like, those, they aren't like that readily available. So I think that's why we need like more African therapists, more culturally competent therapists who can relate to or empathize with these experiences that we go through in the diaspora.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So we have Leon Johannes Mutsvari watching from Lesotho.
Oh,
And
wow.
Gatwakwot Lamloni says Black mental health matters.
Yes, it
And
does.
greetings also to Mfo Johannes Fofani. Yes,
Oh, from, oh, wow. Yeah. Everybody is here.
yes, yes. Black mental health and obviously African families do matter too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yes, that what you were saying, and it reminds us of the upbringing. How has this impacted you?
Sorry, you broke out a little bit there.
The upbringing in an African family.
How has it impacted me? I think that Africans have very like good manners. um, I think that yeah, my parents
Respect.
just yeah, especially when you're in other people's houses. Like my
Mm,
parents taught me to act a certain way, and just do like certain things. And I
mhm,
think that it was kind of like going through college.
mhm.
I sometimes like look around people, like just like the way that they would act, I'd be like, oh, like my parents did not tell me to do that. Like my parents would find that disrespectful. And just yeah, I think that manners and just like respect for people, especially elders, is a very big value in
Yeah,
the African family. I mean, even it's just things like if you're at somebody's house and they provide you dinner, it's like wash your plate, wash your glass, wash your utensils, that sort of thing. It's just try to help out, and I think that there's an element of like generosity there and just like kindness there. So that's just the way that I was raised.
thank you. Generosity, kindness.
Yeah,
That's so very true.
yeah.
And there, yes, that is so very true. Um, what can be done to empower African families even more regarding well-being and care?
What can be done to empower Africans? That's such a good question. I think that I honestly think that we still all need reparations. You know what I mean? I think that that is a very big step. I think that this, oh, I'm talking about in like the context of the US, but also just like whatever country you're in. A lot of these countries, they built their wealth, they built their success off the backs of black people, and they would not be where they are if it weren't for those black people, that they either enslaved or like invaded and that sort of thing. So I think that I'm definitely all for reparations, and just try to
Definitely.
yeah, just try to I don't know if it'll ever be. I don't think that there's any amount of dollar amount of reparations that will ever.
Ever compensate for
Yeah,
the deficits, for the destruction of health, you
yeah,
know.
atrocities. I
They
don't think.
can't even compensate for the degree of economic,
Yeah,
social, you know, well-being
yeah,
which they have, which has been
exactly,
exploited and destroyed.
exactly. Yeah. So reparations, definitely a big one.
Definitely. Yeah. And since we're talking about African History Month,
Hmm.
um, our ancestry, researching our ancestry, even if it's just in the small home, making interviews with the mother, with the father, grandmother. These are important things that we can start to establish as um, family routines,
Hmm.
so we can document our own individual family.
Yeah.
I will bring on Delphine. Greetings,
Pardon?
greetings. I brought you on.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon. Um,
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Delphine. Sister, first of all, there was somebody at the background for so long, just like me. I was very long at the
No,
back.
it's okay. That's
You don't,
okay.
you see them?
Yes, yes, we see everyone.
Ah, okay. Because I thought
Yeah.
maybe you didn't notice since you are
No, no.
broadcasting at the same
I
time,
see everyone.
checking the
It's just
background.
technical.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Zoom. Sorry.
No.
Yes. So I thought you forgot. Yeah. Sorry.
No, no, no. Go
So
ahead,
it's
my dear.
more monologue, one on one, or how is
Yes,
so
yes.
it's
So
everybody that they can ask questions.
we've already been talking. We're already live, and
Yeah.
you can just say what you want to the applicant, to the topic. If there
Oh,
to ask
okay. Uh,
from your work as a social worker with African families,
okay.
yeah.
We spoke. I overheard you, my darling sister. You spoke about African in diaspora often.
Yeah.
I want to highlight that when we talk about African in diaspora, there are we normally it's so common that we think about African facing the Western world, and
Mhm,
we forget that we have Africans in diaspora in Africa, you
Mhm.
know,
mhm,
and it's also somehow challenging there to raise their children in these African diaspora African countries. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah. For example, say the Black Africans moving to the white African countries. They
mhm,
don't have it easy there, be it in Libya, be it in Nigeria, be it in Egypt,
mhm,
Tunisia, they suffer a lot of rejection and torture, maltreatment, and
mhm.
being treated as slaves within their own continent.
Yeah.
It is
So this
something
is
that
what when we talk sometimes of the genocide of that,
exactly. So when
which is
we talk
taking
about
place right
African
now.
family, it is important that or that we when we talk about Africans in diaspora or African family in diaspora, this is the aspect that we normally overlook at, which it is very important that we pay attention to it because they suffer a lot of rejection
Mhm,
because of their skin color, because of their religion.
mhm.
For example, Christian moving into a Muslim African country, you know, it's very much more challenging as Africans, be it the white Africans or the black Africans, move into the Western world. The Western world can accommodate them much more better than African, white African countries accommodating black Africans. And when
Yeah.
you feel belong, it is difficult to it is difficult to really exercise your culture, your religion, your own tradition. And one of the things that we do that we carry along with us is our culture. And the question is, how do we define culture in our own term? Because the way I would define culture might be different from the way a Westerner would define culture. You know,
Mhm.
I working with migrant women. I what I notice is they carried along their belief. Their
Yeah.
feeding, their feeding, even the feeding style. You know, they carry along their language with them. And under belief, you have their part of their tradition with it and stuff. So
Yes.
raising their
Yes.
kids in this challenging in the Western world makes it much more challenging, as well as raising their kids in another African country. Though they
Yes.
are
Yes.
Africans, makes it also challenging.
And even in the own country, the
In their
African
own
family is also
continent is
has
even
challenges
worse.
for the African.
How?
We are coming to the end,
Oh,
unfortunately. So I see here, K Glover is saying, why are you not talking about the ethnic crisis going on in Nigeria? And
mm-hmm.
Charles T. Cooper is saying Africans are so divided because of their mindsets. So, and yes, Kofuna says he's watching and enjoying. So I think there are a lot, as we have pointed out before. Um, so maybe to end, because we are coming to the of the program, the 1 hour program. And what do you think? What would you like to leave our viewers with
I didn't hear you
concerning
well. Your
the
microphone
African?
is it my pardon? I didn't get your question very well. The line was like breaking.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay. So I was asking to
Mhm.
close off, what would each of you like to leave the viewers with regarding the African, the topic represented
Co-
by
To
Esther
me, I would
and
tell the
Mairo.
pardon. Your line is breaking. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Can
Okay,
you
thank
hear me?
you.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard
Okay.
part of the question like, what can we leave to the viewers
Yes.
about a typical African family?
The
What?
topic today is the African family,
Okay,
representation, identity, and diversity.
okay.
So I'm just asking for a closing statement. What would you like to? I will start with Esther. What would you like to leave the viewers with today?
Yeah, I think that our culture and our traditions and our values have somehow been a little bit watered down because of, colonialism, because of slavery. So I think that whatever is left of our traditions, we definitely do our best to pass that down to our the generations that come, after us. And then also that, like we talked about, there is a very one-dimensional representation of the African family in the media, and just I want people to know that we're not a monolith. We're so different. We have very varied experiences, and we should be treated as such. So I think those are the two things that I want to leave with our viewers.
Thank you so much. So, Sister Delphine, what would you like to leave with our viewers?
What I would say is that wherever we are as Africans, we should also try to um, look at the environment in which we are, and knowing that this environment or the culture of this environment has an influence of the way we act and behave, especially our children. And the moment we find ourselves on a different platform in terms of country, we should know that these our children are no more raised in our own African culture, rather they are raised in dual culture, and if not three cultures. Our African culture at home, the culture of the country we find ourselves, it doesn't matter in the Western world or within Africa. And thirdly, the social media culture. All these three cultures have a great influence of how we raise our kids. The question is, how do we go about it? It takes only dialogue with our kids. We can't impose one culture on the children, knowing that they are growing on three different platforms.
Mm,
The new culture, our African culture at home, and the social media culture. Social media is raising our kids more than us today.
Mhm.
mm,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been African History Month edition featuring the topic or focusing on the topic, the African family. And I thank my guests very much, Esther
thank you.
Bikoba,
Mhm.
and I also thank you, Delphine Takwi, and I look forward to the next edition. Thank you so
Thank,
much for being here and for sharing
thank
your perspectives on the African family.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So